So being mixed in the 60s and 70s in New York, so it wasn't the South.
No.
But it was still, a fairly racist country back
absolutely.
then. What was that like?
It was real interesting. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything because I feel like over time, I got the best of both worlds. But for my parents at the time, particularly my mother, my white mother, it was tough on her. Having not only just, her parents were like real old school, racist Irish, you know what I'm saying? And, much less her dating a black guy. When she came home and told them that she was pregnant by the black dude, they threw her out the house. Like, they disowned her.
Wow.
They disowned her and never spoke to her again.
They never spoke to her again?
No, and she died when I was 9. She died in a car accident when I was 9. Man. And from the time I was born to the time she passed away, they never spoke to her again. That's how deep it was. And so she was like, all right, whatever, man, boom, we out. And then she tried to make it work with my father. And, my father, who just passed away last year, great dude, but he was one of them Jamaican players. So, he was just like, yes, man, we're going to sprinkle my seed over here and over there and over here. And, my mom's was one of those cool white chicks. So she was just like, nah, dude, you know what I mean? Like, nah. So it was just, it was me and her, early on.
Uh-huh.
And that was good enough. Like I said, my mom's was, she was the cool white chick. So she always had me around. We were in the village a lot, in Greenwich Village. So we were always around people of color. We were always around gay and straight and, all these different types of people. She was a social worker. So, and, when you're a kid, like, I didn't know any better, and I'm not going to miss, I didn't miss grandparents that I never met, that I never had, that didn't want to have anything to do with me.
You never met them?
No, I never met them. I saw them. They had the nerve to come to the funeral home.
The funeral, yeah.
Came to the funeral home. And you know what I'm saying? But I was, like I said, I was only 9. I was just too crazy to,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was just going through my own, private torture. But what was crazy about them was, like I said, they kind of disowned her and whatnot. And she went on, like I said, she was a social worker. So when she passed away, her pension came up for, review or whatever. And naturally, it was supposed to go to me. Man, they went to court and fought that. So that they could get
the grandparents?
Yeah, came out the woodwork, came in for it, and they got it too.
Wow.
Explain that to me.
Even though they didn't adopt you or anything else.
They didn't adopt me. They didn't even say hi to me. What you talking about? They ain't even say, you know what I mean?
That's weak.
They didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
So, but I think that made the bond between my mother and I really, really strong. But unfortunately, she passed very suddenly, and that was crazy too. And then I had to go live with, I not had to go, but my father, I went to live with my father, who I was just kind of seeing on the weekends. He was like a weekend dad. And, when you go from, Irish, white to, hard Jamaican, that was a culture shock. You know what I'm saying?
How many kids did he have?
He didn't really have a lot of kids. You know what I'm saying? When I say sprinkling seed, he wasn't having a lot of kids. He was just sprinkling some seed. You know what I'm saying? Ram jam session. You know what I'm saying? No, I had two older brothers, so it was just 3 of us. So by Jamaican terms, that was
nothing.
Kind of light.
I've heard 20.
No, he wasn't.
I've heard 30.
No, he wasn't a Jamaican Sean Kemp. No, he wasn't that. But he just liked the ladies, and he was, he's very charming and charismatic, and type stuff. So. Then I went to live with him, and that was we had some adjusting to do.
Well, you have a look that's very interesting because if you didn't grow your hair out and shaved your head, let's say, you could pass for white.
Peace. Back with another installment of Let's Talk About It. In that clip, you just heard Kid from Kid and Play speaking about how it was growing up as a mixed kid in New York. I had no idea that his mom was Irish and his dad was black. My dad is Irish and my mom is black. So we have similar DNA makeup. So I never knew that about him. But and I'm sure we got a similar story as far as what it had to take to grow up, being mixed. I identify more as black because that's who accepted me, and I've spoken about this on several videos before. My dad's family didn't disown him, but his stepmom came in and, messed up him going to school. My dad went down to Miami University, and then they stopped paying for his school, so he had to come back up, and he went to Maryland Art Institute in Baltimore to finish out his degree. Now, I don't think that they disowned my dad, but then they just were weird with him, especially after my grandfather had gotten remarried. But my actual biological grandmother, in front of my mom, called my brother N-word baby. She called him an N-word baby. My step grandmother, in front of my mom, said to my dad, after my dad asked for a beer or a drink or something like that, she was like, "What do I look like your N-word maid?" So obviously these people felt like it was okay to say these things in front of my mom, which was not okay. I never liked my step grandma. I never liked any of those people on that side of the family. They were like the redneck Brady Bunch. My dad had, it was 5 siblings. It was my dad, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters. And then my step grandmother brought, I believe, 4 kids to the pot. So it was like the redneck trailer trash Brady Bunch. But anyway, and the crazy thing, is, when he was talking about his grandparents never really being cool with him and not seeing him and then coming and taking his money away. Now, I don't have a similar story to that, but currently my father chose his wife over being a part of my children's life. So my kids will grow up not really having a relationship with their granddad. So, but I digress. I'm doing this, man, because I never knew that this guy's story was similar to mine. I have looked up to this dude since I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Kid and Play were the ish back in the day, So salute to him. I appreciate him coming out and telling his story. One thing about my story as well, it wasn't a lot of mixed kids growing up in my neighborhood either. I think it was me, my brother, and one of my best friends who were the mixed kids in the neighborhood. I don't recall anybody else. So, but anyway, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, peace.